I always want to kind of dive deeper into certain things from the last album I create, maybe, so there's maybe some element on that album that kind of leads me onwards to the next chapter. And then I want to dive deeper into that particular feeling or element. So it's like once one album leads to the next one, and they're never the same world entirely.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at ghostcultman.com. I am super stoked to be joined by the international acclaimed recording artist and performer, Eivør. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes, that was good.
I practiced so much. And the internet is divided about the correct pronunciation. So I did a lot of I tried really hard. So I'm glad.
That was really good.
I suffer with some
like a pro.
Oh, really? Oh, that's really nice. I appreciate you. On my bucket list of things to do, learn some Scandinavian languages. I would love to learn Icelandic.
It's a beautiful language.
I'm a huge fan of Solstafir, and these songs make me want to cry. And I only sort of know what they're about with like 3 songs in English in 15, 20 years. So anywho, lovely to meet you. And
lovely to meet you too. Nice.
Yeah, of course. Congratulations on just all your successes, and in particular, since the release of ENN last year, and you signing, you've been a DIY independent artist for so long, and then you've come into kind of the metal adjacent world. Metalheads seem to love Norse folk music for some reason. It's something, probably the primalness of it, and just the coming back to earth, I think, is a very spiritual and strong thing for metalheads. So we love, here at Ghost Cult also, we love Wardruna, and we love Heilung, and we love Nitland, and all these different artists from across the world that do this kind of music and pay homage to these stories. I think lore is the correct word. I know different people bristle at mythology is not accurate. So it's like, it's the same thing when I speak to my dear friends from Finland. Some of these things it's their whole culture is built from this, and so it's not just stories to them. It's really important. So I want to give that reverence in that respect. And you recently just toured America with another favorite of ours, Sylvaine, who we interviewed last year, and I just have to extend a tremendous word of thanks to the label and to you to letting us come out and cover that show in Brooklyn. Our own Jamie Sherwood wrote a marvelous write-up, and I know she's still kind of buzzing from the show because we text, and the photos were divine and phenomenal, and it's really great to capture you live, because I think that's, I feel like it's 2 separate albums: composer, these albums, and then the live performance, I think, is really special and unique.
Thank you.
There's a big build up there to no question particularly.
I love it.
But this is our first time meeting. So let's roll it back just a little bit. I know you've basically been making music most of your life, but if you had the story of your life was being written, how would it start? And when did music come to you? And then when did you want to make music? Those are the questions I wanted to start with.
Oh, that's a good start. Well, I always, as a kid, I always really, really loved singing, and it was such a big part of my upbringing. Like in my family, there's always been a lot of singing and storytelling, and it's a big part of Faroese culture as well. In social events, you sing together and you do the chain dances and all those things. And so it was always like a part of my life, and it felt natural for me to be singing. And when and as a girl, I would sing, and I loved it, and I would sing to every event in my family, birthday parties and stuff like that. And then I think I started writing music when I was about like 12 years old or so. That's when I felt the need to write my own music slowly, and then just from there on, I started playing, in some local garage bands in my village, and I was just so drawn to music as far as I can remember, and it just never left me somehow. It was just kind of an obsession to me to be making music and to be creating music, and I just felt very drawn to it and very curious to kind of dive deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And So I went on a journey many, many years ago, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So yeah,
Well said. I do feel like learning in general is a lifelong,
it
process. You
is.
never really know everything. I know people who are subject matter experts all over the world. I fancy myself as an expert on music of different styles, and I'm always learning. And there's always something new to go and grow on. And then so I
Exactly.
and I love that you started early and you started writing your own music early. There's a definite bridge point as a young adult, I think, where you go from like, oh, I can do this professionally. I don't know if you attended like conservatory or anything, because your voice is amazing and your composition is immaculate for all the projects you worked on. So I wonder if you were professionally classically trained or just kind of grew on your own.
Well, from my childhood up until I was 17, when I finished school, like ninth grade, I decided to go to Iceland to study classical singing. And that was a quite spontaneous decision because there were no like music schools or singing lessons to get in the Faroe Islands where I'm from. So I met this incredible teacher from Iceland who came to the Faroe Islands, and she invited me to come check out their school in Reykjavik. And I did that, and I stayed there for 5 years, and I studied classical singing and made a few albums while I was there and gathered a band. And it was just a beautiful experience to kind of get into a new community of musicians and to get singing lessons. I was very hungry for that at that point. So yeah, and classical music. It was quite random that it was classical music that I a classical singing school. That was not like uh, something that I had been thinking about so much. It just happened to be this wonderful singing teacher who kind of opened up that door, and I was very curious about it. So and it was a wonderful time to kind of get to know your voice a bit better and on maybe in a different way than you're used to using it. Because I was I had just learned to sing from my mom, has a beautiful voice and loves to sing, in the kitchen and in the shower. And we would sing together a lot, but it was nice to kind of get into like a new perspective of singing at that point.
Right on. I think it's very crucial to say that it's very important to have encouraging mentors. I know a lot of
Yeah,
artists we talk about like, one person that was like very foundational. I'm glad you found your person to help you with that journey because
yeah,
I also have a similar background in music school. Some teachers were really wonderful and patient and encouraging and trying to push you in the right way.
yeah,
And then other
yeah,
teachers are just horrendous and very mean and
yeah.
weirdly centered on not helping as children. I always say you have to judge the talent of a child or a young person, even a young adult,
Mm,
slowly because we're not
mm,
formed yet. Our brains are not formed. Our bodies are not formed. Our instruments are not really there. And
exactly. Yeah,
classical music and chamber music and opera and all these things that I also had to focus on really challenging for an adult who's already been working in the field a long time, let alone a teenager or a young
yeah,
person,
yeah.
right? Who is
Exactly.
also like an emotional tornado every day.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I'm really glad you had somebody really encouraging and nurturing there for you. That sounds great. And probably how you got to that all makes sense to me now, like how you got to be where you are now. That's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I was so curious about the voice, and I wanted to do crazy things with my voice, like not like beautiful opera singing. I wanted to do like guttural stuff and, all kinds of sounds. And this opera teacher that I had, she was so incredible. She would allow me to kind of explore with these things, but with the technique of classical singing, which was an incredible discovery for me that, oh shit, okay, I don't have to like be an opera singer to study classical music. I can, I'm just learning and exploring my voice. So that was, and I still visit her when I go to Iceland. She's totally my mama still, my singing mama.
Oh, I love that so much. That's great. Out of
She's
curiosity,
on front row for all my shows in
oh, that's
Iceland and
great.
stuff. And
I'm
she's
so
like,
glad. I'm so
He
glad
gives me
you.
good critique afterwards.
Oh, nice. So still,
She's very strict.
some of them have to be. Out of curiosity, did you have a favorite opera or piece of classical music or chamber music that stayed with you all these years?
Oh my goodness. Not really. It was more like just the discipline and the technique that I was so focused on. I didn't really dive so much into opera itself. So I was just, I mean, it was much more just about the tools for me. But and I always loved more like the much older, like classical stuff, Renaissance sounding stuff. And that was what I was very into at that point. But yeah, I enjoy classical music every now and then.
Yeah, I just did a
And I
bit.
mean, Maria Callas and,
Oh,
my
forget it.
favorite singer is called Uma Sumac and from Peru. She was kind of classically trained as well, but blends it with other techniques. So yeah.
Nice. I was gonna say, and then as obviously you got into creating your own style of music, so you pull from all these different things. You have this training, you have this music from, your childhood and your homeland, and the surrounding region that obviously has a pull on you. But also, you are totally a risk taker. I love that you will experiment with different styles of songs and incorporate
That's
different things.
nice.
I think it's really made you very unique, and your music stands out from everybody else that's related. You always see like, for fans of, or, whatever music service is trying to like suggested for you, but no one really sounds like you and you don't really sound like anyone else, which is really in this day and age a gift for real.
Thank you. That's a beautiful compliment. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, I think it matters to you. You can tell when you listen to your records, like, and with immediately like, oh, this is phenomenal. And it doesn't sound like your other records, and it doesn't, not too many. It sounds like you, but none of the tracks are really sound repetitive or, oh, that sounds like that. Not really. A little bit here and
No,
there, but not really. I think it's clear that you care about songcraft, and it matters to you how the listener, enjoys a record and the whole journey a record makes. Sometimes not just a bunch of songs for you. I know that, I can tell.
no, I think for every album it's in my head like a world or something. And for every new album I make, it's always a new journey or a new chapter somehow, something that I want to dive deeper into. And I think as I've matured in the creation of in the creativity of music, I always want to kind of dive deeper into certain things from the last album I create, maybe, so there's maybe some element on that album that kind of leads me onwards to the next chapter. And then I want to dive deeper into that particular feeling or element. So it's like once one album leads to the next one, and they're never the same world
Of course.
entirely.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And then I was going to say also, we alluded to this earlier about when you perform these songs live or in general, live performance for you and your connection to the audience. I think it's very interesting that, we're kind of in a place where recorded music is so prevalent. It's everywhere, and which is wonderful. The availability of music is wonderful. But I think
Yeah.
like live is still an important thing. I urge people to go to shows. I'm like, just get out to a show once in a while if it's not for
Mm,
you, even if it's not for you, because I think there's a special connection. And I think it's
mm,
interesting, like maybe a record is finished when it's out, but the
mm.
performance element of it is never really finished. As a famous
No,
person I like to quote all the time says, that the music's not really done, because then it comes onto stage and it's interpreted every night,
completely.
maybe
Yes.
differently. So I
Exactly.
figured that might be, sort of a thing for you to also, build on.
Totally. I'm so feeling you on that because it's you make an album and it's like you create like the songs and the sounds, but then you go live, you play it live in front of the audience, and something completely new happens because you have the listener who is just as important for that live moment. And it kind of adds a different dimension, I think, to the music, which, if you're open and if you keep it open and playful, can kind of sometimes really change the songs because it puts just a new energy into. the songs, and I like to be very aware of that and open to kind of taking songs that I've recorded to take them in a new direction live because it feels right, you know. So I really enjoy playing live and sharing music with people in the moment. That's like probably my favorite thing in the whole world.
Amazing. A lot of people are, prolific artists, and you've been putting out music at a clip for a very long time. But also, I think, like I said, live, I think another element is why it's such a wonderful pairing with you and Sylvaine, because I'm attracted to
I love her
storytellers.
so much.
She's so great.
Yeah,
And she's
she's
so
great.
nice. We had such a long
Most
chat.
wonderful person.
She's really
Yeah.
fantastic. And again, because we were, as I mentioned offline, we were originally founded in the Netherlands, and we covered a lot of, Scandinavian artists for a long time, and a lot of Norse folk and pagan artists for so long. It's really part of our DNA. And,
Yeah.
we followed you for a very long time. We followed Einar's journey with Wardruna and soundtrack work, which you're also very familiar with, of course. And Sylvaine also, we identified her really early on, like, oh, we have to pay a lot of attention to her. She's wonderful. And but
Mm.
you're a storyteller, as is she, which is why I think that pairing is so fantastic. And I think you're a natural storyteller, not just in your music but live. Again, and I think it's important. I feel a sense of importance that comes from you trying to get the audience to get on your wavelength and understand these songs at a deeper level than just like, I'm here to make music, which, so it's okay if
Mm.
some people are, a punk rock band is just there to be punk rock and make music. But I think there's some other types of music that really, you have to speak to people a little more directly.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I enjoy that. Like to just, I mean, to kind of, because I'm singing in a language that not many people understand. Sometimes I enjoy to kind of like to give people just an idea of what I'm singing about. It doesn't have to be too literal, but it's important for me to leave space for people to dream, in my songs and to create their own world out of them. But I like to give them some clues sometimes. So like, now we're going, to the wild sea, let's go. And then people can, create their own like version of what that means. So yeah, it's about storytelling, but managing to kind of keep also like an open door for people to dream away in, I think.
Lovely. I couldn't say that any better. That was amazing. Just a few more questions for you. I'll get back to the live stuff in a second, because I do want to focus on your upcoming tours now that you're back from the States. And we love having you. And please come back again sometime. I know it's
Oh
a.
my God, I loved it. It was
Oh, really? That's
so,
great. I know it's a tough
yeah,
time right now in the
it
world
is a
for
tough
travel
time.
and
Yeah.
things like that. And the music industry is, very pricey for an artist, especially, an underground artist or an independent artist, even though you play major venues. So I'm glad you had a great experience. That makes me really happy to hear, because we're always trying to
I
promote
really did.
touring and concerts and festivals.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting, my audience in America. It was beautiful moments that I will cherish for a long time, and I can't wait to go back and play there. Hopefully, in not too long.
I imagine so. And you have a huge tour coming up. You just have a little break back at home for a little while, and then you're on tour
Yes,
right now. You have,
I'm on tour right now. Right now,
yes.
I'm in Copenhagen, and tomorrow we're going to Germany. So we're like, yeah, I'm traveling with Heilung right now. So, and we are playing a show almost every night, and
They are some of the best people also. We are
they're wonderful.
we're very fortunate to say that they're actually friends of ours, not just artists we admire and respect. We've spent a lot of time with them personally and professionally, and I can only say the highest and kindest things about them as people.
Yeah, they are wonderful people. Good travel companions to have.
Oh, super interesting and smart too. So of course, like,
Oh
if you want
yeah.
to have a conversation to go to the museum or just relax and chill and just, have a
Mm.
cool vibes, I bet they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated how they manage to, keep such a big travel company, in such good balance. They're like 30 people, and there's always just good vibes in the group, and that's really cool.
Well, I'm very fond of saying it's the music business and not the music friendship, but I've seen their whole crew, and basically everyone is exempt, like really lovely. So, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think they have a bad apple among them from the bit of time I've spent around them.
uh,
Because sometimes you get people, where you come to America and you have an American tour manager or some, American crew, and there's some vibes. Maybe they're on, maybe they're off. You never know. But when we were around
yeah.
them, both here and in Europe, they were amazing, great people.
Yeah, very sweet.
And
Yeah,
then I
for
don't know
sure.
if you're open to talk, if anything's announced for the rest of the year, but I imagine you're very busy once the tour is over also.
Yeah, I mean, we're finishing this tour now. We have a month to go. We have a little break soon, and then we will continue this tour with Heilung in April, and then in the fall I have a big tour coming up in Europe, a headline tour in Europe. So it does. I mean, these past 2 years have been mainly about touring for me, and I've really like enjoyed coming to all these beautiful places and sharing live moments with people. Yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to do that. So that's where the music belongs. It kind of, when you play live, you feel that, oh shit, yeah, I remember why I do it.
Phenomenal. Yeah, I totally relate as a fan and a music maker also. I definitely relate to that. Out of curiosity, I imagine at some point in the future, you maybe you write all the time, maybe you collect ideas all the while. But I wonder, is it separate for you to compose for yourself versus another project? Does it all start the same for you with voice and instrumentation, or do you have a different process for, let's say, soundtracks and things like that versus your own music?
Yeah, I think the process is very different for me because for a project, for example, like the work I did with The Last Kingdom, it's very specific and it's write music for this scene, and this scene has to reflect this emotion and all that. So it's very specific, and you sit down and you work with that particular scene. When I work on my own music, it's much more of a, I don't want to say struggle, but it can be. You have to kind of rip your heart out and put it back together and see what's there, see what's missing. And it's kind of a different process, I think, with my own music. And that's something I which is in my head all the time, no matter if I'm touring or whether I'm home or whether I'm going for a walk. It's always in my head. Like, I'm always looking for a song, and once I find that song or find the idea, there's always a long way to go from there to kind of shape it into what it's supposed to be or something. So that's more of a forever project, while the side projects are more, yeah, a different process for sure. But I enjoy both so much, and for me, working on film music was such a relief. Not a relief, but it was such a, I found so much freedom in it, because at the same time as it is very specific what you're doing, you also have a lot of freedom within that frame to kind of float around. And cinema music is all about the emotion. It's not so much about a literal story, or because the story is already told on the screen. You just have to add the feeling and the emotions to it. And I've really enjoyed that.
Fantastic. And of course, it's again a different side of you, and then you go back to your own music and you can
Yeah,
express
and I,
different
I, I
parts of you.
draw inspiration a lot from these side projects that I've done, from both video game music and film music. And I can sense a lot of elements from that in the music write for my albums also. So it kind of overlaps as well.
Amazing. I hope you get to do more of it. I'm looking forward to more of it in the future. I can't imagine, based on the success of some of these projects, that you won't be invited to do more. And
Thank you.
I know it's not the only focus of your career, but it's surely welcomed. Out of curiosity, this is something I've been meaning to ask you. We've had a lot of, been fortunate to interview a lot of artists all over the world. I feel like the Faroe Islands are very misunderstood in the rest of the world. We've had some interviews and some great interactions with, Tier and bands like that, but I feel like the outside world, we don't really understand the country or the culture too well, other than it's related to their neighbors. And I don't know if I hope you're, I feel like maybe you're helping to, put a good foot forward and just demystify the country and the culture for some people. But I just have always felt that, like, when people speak about it, I'm not sure if they know what they're talking about if they're not from there.
Yeah. Well, you never know, before you've experienced something. You have to like experience things to fully understand them or know them. But I guess that the Faroe Islands is where I grew up, and I've always been very like Faroese, for example, Faroese folk music and stuff like that is such a big part of my inner soundscape, and it's something that I unconsciously, draw inspiration from, and also the landscape and the people and everything. So it's just a part of you, and yeah, it's a part of what you create, whether you do it consciously or not. But I don't see myself as someone who's trying to promote a country or anything. I'm just an artist who likes to create music. But obviously, the place you come from is some kind of root of your tree. So it's an important source of inspiration for me, for sure.
Awesome. I love to end these interviews with a wild card question. I try to pick one out specifically for everyone. So I racked my brain and went through a list of things that I always ask. And I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite book of your life that you can return to and read over and over? Do you have a favorite or something on the shelf when you read it, it has a memory to you that you can't erase? Something like that.
Yeah. I recently read such a great book. I read it so quickly, but what was it called? That's what sucks about me. I forget things. I read something and I'm like, oh, I love this. And then I move on. And then, but yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy reading poetry. I read more poetry than I read like actual books. I wish I read more books. And it's always on my list. Like next year, I'm going to read more books. I enjoy poetry, and recently I bought like a Patti Smith biography, which I'm really excited to read because I heard so much good stuff about that one. And I enjoy reading Nick Cave's poetry books and Leonard Cohen's poetry books and many more. And I'm trying to remember that book. What was it called? You have to edit this out.
Whatever you need. We make everybody look good here at Ghost Cult.
I'm taking too long right
No,
now.
it's okay. It's okay. I put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I've done it before. Believe me, there's harder ones that you would be mad at that I didn't.
Okay,
So
good.
it's okay. Those
So
are
I got
we
an
can
easy one at the same
chop
time.
these up. We'll chop. That's the magic of not giving the questions in advance. Most of the time, I'm able to do that. So you're fantastic. I appreciate you. And don't, if it comes to you, you can always have Will.
I'll call you.
You can call me.
I remember the book now.
Call us anytime. Our DMs are open, especially for you. You're fantastic. This is really great. I'm so thankful to
You're
get to
so
hear from you.
kind.
No, really, I'm
Thank
really
you.
thankful to
It
talk
was a
to you.
real pleasure talking
Yeah,
to
thank you
you.
so much.
Really was.
The new recent album ENN is out now on Season of Mist. Eivør, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and best of luck and safety and wellness and happiness on the road. And we'll hopefully see you again out here in the States and everywhere else in the world.
Thank you, my dear. And it was a pleasure. And I'll see you soon, hopefully. And enjoy the rest of your day or night.